Something happened to me in 2014. I turned 40. And I just got overwhelmed with this fear of dying because my parents had died early in their late 40s. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm 40 now. I thought about my children. I thought about my legacy. And yes, I had accomplished so much. I'd gone to school. I had a career that I enjoyed and loved. But what had I done for my community back home in Zimbabwe? You see, my parents had instilled in us a sense of community service. They were always doing one project or another to empower the community of Grue in Zimbabwe. There was the chicken project, there was the sweaters project, but there was one particular project that my mother did that, as a 40-year-old woman, I realized just how profound it was. She worked as a community worker, educating women on different contraceptives during the 80s. You see, a lot of women around that time in Africa did not have the power to make the decisions on how many children they should have. So my mother worked to give those women around her a voice, empowering them. She would ride her bike from morning and return in the evening. I know she faced a lot of backlash from the husband because she talked about it. And she was giving them a voice that she did not have because we are 9 in our family. And I realized just how profound her journey was, and I sought to carry on her legacy, nursing beyond the bedside. So I founded the project, Vaskana Project, which empowers women and girls on menstrual health education, as well as provide safe, dignified ways to manage periods. I started off by having what I called ped parties. I would invite women to an event, ask them to bring sanitary pads, and from that collection would send them to Zimbabwe to be distributed in the most rural part of Zimbabwe. And from that distribution, we realized that there was more to it. Period poverty is very complex. You cannot end it with just leaving a packet of pads. We needed to do more. And one particular visit, I held a teaching session at Muleme School in Chiredzi. And after the session, I invited the girls to ask me questions, but they were very quiet. There was silence in the room. I realized just how still taboo the subject of menstrual health was. But I knew that they had questions because I myself had the same questions when I was growing up. So I sought to put an educational resource, something that could be left in place for years to come, something the girls could refer to and learn about the different changes happening in their bodies. I returned to the US and got to work. I even started to draft my own book. But I needed sustainability. So in 2019, I published a journal. I Call on You, Sis. It's a personal call from a woman to another woman for another woman as the process goes to fund the project. I Call on You, Sis is also a reminder on how we should respond when we are called upon. It is a personal collection that came from my experiences migrating to the US as a new mom, fairly new wife, of the personal calls I made to my loved ones back home I would call, in grief. I would call in joy. I would call, whatever accomplishment, I would call my sisters, my families back home in Zimbabwe. So I call on you, sis, it's just a reminder of how we should respond. I'm thankful that those calls have sustained me, have helped me propel me to the next level. And it is also, when we are called upon to be mindful of how we respond. Because as friends, sometimes we rely on our friends on whether we should move on to the next thing from their responses. There's a difference when someone says, go sis, you can do it. Or when someone says, oh, I've tried it, it won't work. So it's just a reminder of how many of our dreams lay unfulfilled because of the people that we are calling. And I continue to work on that menstrual health book. And through my research, I came across Menstrupedia. Menstrupedia are the leaders on menstrual health. They're based in India. They have an educational book that has been published in now 10 languages and used in over 11,000 schools. And I reached out to them to see if I could use their resource and translate it into my language, Shona, instead of reinventing the wheel, so to say. They said yes. And in 2021, with sponsorship from Stay Free Africa, who sponsored to accompany the book with product, and also sponsorship from Sister Accord, who sponsored to print the first public 1,000 copies of the book. The book was launched in May 2021. It's breaking barriers, creating access to menstrual health to girls that do not have access. It's easy for us here to Google, or for our kids to Google. But there are girls that do not have access to the internet or the same smartphone. So this book is giving access to those girls. And I'm thankful to say that this year I've also been offered more funding by Stay Free Africa to print 1,000 more copies. So my journey of nursing beyond the bedside continues with one book, one girl, one community at a time. I hope that tonight I have inspired you to pick a problem, any problem, and do something about it. Thank you.